Just because you've seen this grand history, I apologize for the ridiculous question, but if we look at the entirety of Earth and we fast forward 1,000,000 years from now,
Oof.
and the history of life on Earth is written, do you think we're at the very beginning of human history, or are we in the middle, or are we close to the end?
1,000,000 years from now. I mean, I can't project or predict anything like a year from now. And I've become actually increasingly skeptical that I can do so, at least. However, so I don't know about beginning, middle, and end. Um, it's easier to think in terms of like numbered phases,
Mm-hmm.
like significantly different phases of human history. And I would say we're probably in the third. I think there've only been 3 phases. The first one being sort of hunter-gatherer period, which that lasted for the majority of human history so far, right? Then there's the agricultural revolution, basically. And this is when you start to produce surpluses that create more complex societies. And we're now living through a technological, first industrial, now,
you can throw it
all
all in the
kinds of
same bucket: industrial, technological.
technological, which is modifying the parameters of what it is that human beings can do and possibly be. And who knows where this will go. But I see these as very distinct in many ways. It's all human beings,
Yeah, it's all humans,
but very different
but
contexts.
they're almost modifying themselves. So the question is there a fourth? Is there
Yeah,
going
I'm
to
pretty
be
sure there will be.
and what does that look like? And is it, when they look back at the third, would they still see us as the same as them, or would it be something completely different?
Oh, no, I mean, we look back at the, Romans or the Greeks or like any period in history, and we're like, yeah, no, I see what you're doing there. You're doing it with the technological capabilities that you had at that time. You're doing it with the materials that you had, but I see what you're doing. Yeah, you've got families and you've got armies and you've got, you bury your dead and
But now we're increasingly actually having the tools and technology to modify, deeply modify what it means to be human.
Yes.
Genetic engineering, brain-computer interfaces. As we understand the brain more, we can modify things, expand completely. Plus, artificial intelligence, it can expand the knowledge base and the intelligence of the human mind, unless we figure out the human mind is actually incredibly special to the degree where it's, at least with the tools we have this century, we cannot achieve the level of general intelligence that humans have. Or one of the things we might figure out in stage 4 of this long history is that the thing that makes humans special is not intelligence. It's not any of the things we kind of value each other by. It's actually consciousness. And consciousness is the thing that is very difficult to engineer.
Yeah.
And so that's the common thing from the hunter-gatherers to before the Industrial Revolution and after, is we're still the same. We still feel like something to be alive. And that's maybe an important component of what makes us fall in love with each other, or fear each other, or suffer, and all the full range of the human condition, the human experience.
Yeah.
Maybe even technology cannot replicate that, cannot modify that. Maybe that's what we learn. Or, very possibly, we destroy this whole thing. Because now, for the first time in human history, we have the tools, unfortunately, to destroy everything.
This is all very eloquent. I mean, after so many hours of my rambling about the medieval Roman Empire, I'm impressed.
Okay. What gives you hope about this whole thing? About the future of human civilization?
Look, there are a lot of challenges, right, that we face, and we talk about them a lot. As a historian, I see other periods that were far, far more difficult, when people could have far more easily have given up hope, and sometimes did. But I don't think we're in one of those. Like, there's some major issues, like the uncertain future of technologies, what they might do, exactly what you were talking about. I think they're solvable problems to a certain degree. Like if we can rein in some elites, a lot of these problems can be fixed. And that's not like a super difficult. I mean, it's difficult, but it's not like impossible. Look, so I grew up during the Cold War. Let's just take the 80s, for example. And in the 80s, like there was a pervasive sense that nuclear war could happen at any time and just annihilate everything. And we lived under that. If you look at the popular culture of the 80s, it's like all like upbeat and cheerful and naive. And like there's just no correlation. And then you move into the 90s and the Cold War is over and everyone's all depressed. The music gets all like whiny. And I was like, what happened? There's just no correlation. Anyway, I just think that it's a pervasive sense of hopelessness or, despair doesn't always match with, like, if you look at the situation objectively. I mean, yeah, it can be pretty bad. But there's so much that's happening that is good all the time. So
I think this period of human history will be, because we've talked about the ups and downs of the Roman Empire, I think unquestionably this period in history, the late 20th century and the 21st century will be seen as the flourishing of humans. So if we actually just wake up, it's like what everything around us, by most measures of human flourishing, we're doing pretty good.
The amount of like sheer misery is probably objectively decreasing every year. Now, we're also creating problems. Yes, that will cause misery down the road. Yeah, yes. But overall, I don't see a reason to despair and not have hope.
Yeah, we're doing okay.
We can do better. Let's do better.
Let's do better. Well, Anthony, this was an incredible conversation. Thank you for all the amazing work you do and for the whirlwind journey through such a fascinating part of human history. This was fun. Thank you for talking today.
It was a pleasure to be here, and thank you for not just for inviting me. I mean, this is probably the largest audience I've ever spoken to, but also just for giving my field and this civilization that I study the opportunity to be seen and heard from more people. I think that's very important. You've done a real service here, so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.